I'm a no-show, I'm social, then super low. I stay in and quit.
What's good, guys? It's Joseph, and today we're back with another tutorial. I know, man, trying to get some content out there. All right, let's see what we got. Today we're gonna be learning how to do some 3D tracking. It's gonna be like motion tracking onto like an actual clip instead of like doing a cinematic. So it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna learn how to do a few workarounds that you may or may not have to do on your own clips. So let's go ahead and jump straight in. We're gonna be learning how to do the intro sequence that I just did. So a little problem that I had here, and this might never happen with you, and you might never even have to do this, but this is how I'm gonna do it. See how he's calling in the kill streak right here? It kind of messes up the track, and so I'm going to show you a little workaround that what you can do and how 3D tracking works. So if you ever encounter something like this, you can do a similar thing or whatever. So we're just going to be doing that. So let's go ahead and start with a fresh clip, fresh comp. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe trim this down a little bit, because I'm not gonna do the whole sequence like I showed you, because it took forever. I went frame by frame and made a mask around the door and all that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let's see what do we want to do here. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this a little bit just to show you like what I'm doing. There you go. That's a good enough space of time to work with, Okay. All right, so now we got this little clip right here. Let's go ahead and how you normally would do this, and there's like a whole bunch of different ways to get the same product that I showed you in the preview, but we're just gonna do it my way. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click on this, what you normally would do, right click, you go to track and stabilize track camera, but the solving is gonna fail for some reason. I think it's because the movement with the kill streak right here. So what you can do to work around that, you can make a duplicate of this clip, or I mean, you probably don't even have to, but this is just what I did. Like, just take this, and then because we're only gonna have the text, like we only want to track this wall basically. If you wanted to, you can just make a mask around the wall and just delete it later. I'm just realizing that now. But you can basically, make a mask around these hands right here and just invert it. And, hold up. Okay. And you see now for the clip, you only really see the top half. And what you can do with that is you can go ahead and just, track camera, detail analysis if you're really into that. It takes a little bit longer, but you might get a more stable track. And so I'm just going to let it do its thing for a second, and I'll just talk about, when you would have to do stuff like this. So you see the, like the hands are kind of moving across the shot in a quick way. And so it's not really giving the program enough time to really track. I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck that. I don't think we need that for this small little thing, I'm going to restart it. But like I said, like, I don't really think you'll need to do that for every clip necessarily. Let's say you're doing, like, you're not even tracking like a Call of Duty like clip. Let's say you're doing like a movie, like you're working with live footage, and let's say you have like multiple shots in a row in like the same room, but the camera's changing like each time. Like each time you have a new shot, you're going to want to just like cut the clip up and just, track each like shot by himself, even though they're all part of like the same sequence of like a scene, because the camera tracker doesn't like work that way if you have like the camera switching spots on you, And so that's a similar thing here, because there's just too much movement going on. But now you see like I have my render points, and I can probably just delete this mask. Maybe not. Yeah, and yeah, you didn't even have to duplicate the clip, because you just won't have any markers down here, and the rest you guys know how to do. You know, you figure out which points you want to use and you do that. But let's just go ahead and, you know, do it for the fun of it. So you can either just like pick 3 or you can just like highlight a bunch of these. That's what I normally do because like it tends to make it a little bit more stable. And you can right click, you can either create text and camera, solid camera, whatever, null and camera. I usually do null. And then after I do that, I go ahead and make a text layer. And you can do whatever you want. You know, enemies over here or whatever. I'm gonna do I love Cuddy. There you go. So we'll do that. So check this out, guys. And you can make the text smaller because you're gonna wanna fit it into the door, man. So like that. And then you're gonna want to make this layer 3D. After you make that layer 3D, I kind of messed it up really there, but just go ahead and press P on your keyboard. Look at the position of the null. You're going to want to click the null position, press Control C, and click position of your text. You're going to want to do Control V. And you see now it's really small, so you just want to make it bigger. Because it's in like the actual like position of where the null is, you know. And so, come on. Make it a little smaller. Yeah, there you go. And then something that I do, I take this, you see this little parent wheel, I parent this over to the null. And so then you can take the null and you can move it wherever you want. And so I chose to move it basically in this little doorway right here. You see that? That's perfect. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And then another thing I did, I'm not going to show you how to do it in this video, but you know, I had the text animate and it kind of appeared through the door. After you have this like tracked and everything, let's say I go to the text and I make a mask around the door, or just like the general area of the door. And now you got that. That is going to also be tracked. You see how it's, you know, kind of following the door frame, sort of. You might have to go in and like fix it. But for the most part, it should follow the door. Unless you're like, you know, clip is moving like insanely quick, you know. And another thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to go to rotation on your, you know, text. And you're going to want to go ahead and, you know, rotate it. Make it look like it's straight with the door, because the null and like our original points aren't going to be perfect. And so that's how you get the text tracked into the you know, the scene. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of compositing, make it readable, make it look like it fit in. If you wanted to go the extra mile, you can try to get a shadow down here, but I'm not going to do that because it more than likely it's going to be just like a 2-second like, you know, thing. Because like in the beginning of the video, I had it stretched out for a long time, and you can kind of see the text like shook a little bit. But normally what I would use that for, that would only be like maybe like a second or a 2-second and just like transition, you know. And you're never going to notice any of that shaking or any of that for that. You really only would notice that if you have it drug out for a really long time like I did, but I was just doing that just to show you like what we're going to be working on. And so if your track's not perfect, you don't really have to worry about it because you can do a lot of things. You can add a motion blur or whatever to, you know, draw someone's attention away. Like there's always going to be things you can do like that in After Effects because like nothing ever works perfectly 100% of the time. And so another thing I did, I went ahead, you know, make a duplicate of this clip right here. And then, let's see. I did this frame by frame because I wanted to, because I feel like I could do it a little bit cleaner than, you know, tracking it. But, if you wanted to, I guess, let's see. I don't know if this would work. I'm just going to try this really quick. I don't think it can you do that? So I went ahead and copied this mask, and I don't think it's working. Okay, so yeah, you can't really copy the mask that you put in here anyways onto the clip. So I just did it frame by frame. It doesn't really take very long, especially for a small little thing like this. What you're basically gonna want to do is go to the first frame and just draw. If you wanted to do what I did, because I kind of had a little adjustment layer that was only affecting the mask that I had here. So I had the old draw. There you go. Make a little rectangle around there. Press M twice on your keyboard and make sure you're selecting only that. So there you go. And then you want to keyframe the mask path. And then you really just want to go frame by frame if you want it to be clean, and just, animate this mask to fit the, the door each frame. And I guess you can get away with skipping a few of them if it's really slow, but if you see it's kind of like moving away, you want to make sure you recorrect it. And my recommendation is just to do frame by frame, so you'll 100% know every frame it's going to be working like that. I'm not going to go through and do the whole thing, so I just wanted to tell you guys that's what you would do if you wanted to get it looking like that. So sometimes there's workarounds, sometimes you just got to do it by hand. In my opinion, doing things by hand often works better and it looks better. But after you do that, the effect I used was a Colorama. So you're gonna want to use Colorama, and then there you go. You can leave it like that if you want, but I changed it a little bit. You can change the colors up if you want. I went up. You can go into modify. You can change this to red. That's what I did. That's really all I did. And then I went into the not here. No, that's not it. Okay, input phase. There you go. I went to the input phase. I keyframed the first frame at like 1 or at like 0 or whatever. Then you go down to the end of your clip, and then I didn't mask it all the way over there. I just turned this to 2, and it should, there you go. It should go through these colors. And then after I was done, like you can see at the end here, I had the opacity of the text and the effect fade off for the person to run through. And so if you want to take a look at it, we can. So there's all the masks I did. I did frame by frame for this layer right here. And then if I press U on my keyboard, we can see all our keyframes. So let's see. And here's the opacity. Put that down. And then I did the same for the text up here. And then this 3D camera tracker is, the points that were tracked on the composition. But here's each frame to where I did the mask. And you can see that. And that's really all I did. Everything else was just, I added a color correction on there, black bars. But that was really it. So hopefully you guys understood what I did. I know it's a little situational, but if you ever have a workaround, there's always a way you can work around. Like, you just gotta find it. I know this is really situational in the fact that he's going through a door, but you could have done this to where you're tracking onto a wall, this wall, the floor, or whatever. And so if you make anything where you track like 2D or 3D onto your clip itself and not just like cinematic, I definitely think it's interesting and it's nice. It's a nice change of pace. But if you guys, have any examples, go ahead and send them to me. I'm answering a lot of DMs on Twitter about, how to do certain effects or giving opinions on, different edits. I love doing that. I love helping you guys out. I'm going to try to get the stream started up pretty soon, man. I'm getting it all ready. So other than that, I hope you guys, have learned something today. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Peace, guys.